What's going on, everyone? It's Alex here from Aleks Physio. Today we're going to be going over 5 exercises that you can do if you have shin splints. Welcome. My name is Alexander Kravich. I'm a physiotherapist in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm going to be going over 5 exercises that you can do if you have been struggling with shin splints. Disclaimer though, shin splints is just an umbrella term that covers a bunch of different pathologies around your lower leg region. There is Medial Tibial Stress Syndrome, which is what it's more commonly referred to. Periostitis, which is an inflammation of the periosteum, which is the lining around your bones and bone area. And then there's also a stress fracture that sometimes gets mistaken as just shin splints. So it's important to get that checked out and make sure that you get the clearance that it's not a stress fracture or not periostitis, and that can be done via a bone scan because sometimes an x-ray won't be able to find that. But just something to be mindful of. If it is true shin splints or medial tibial stress syndrome, there's a couple exercises that you can do. Exercise number 1 is going to be isometric dorsiflexion. The left heel is trying to point your toes down and your ankle down, but your right ankle is trying to meet that resistance. So you're trying to meet the pressure and meet the resistance there. You should feel this muscle swelling up. This is your tibialis anterior muscle that attaches around that region of your shin bone. And I want you to try to hold that for 15 seconds. Okay, and then you're gonna relax. So 15 seconds, relax for a few seconds, then you're gonna do that for a few more repetitions. Okay, so that's exercise 1. It's an isometric for dorsiflexion, the movement dorsiflexion. Exercise 2, we're going to do a dynamic dorsiflexion movement or a resisted dorsiflexion. So you're going to loop a kettlebell around your toes and you're just trying to point your toes and your ankle towards you with that kettlebell. And again, it's a little bit more challenging because you're going through the motions with this exercise. And obviously the heavier the weight, the more challenging it is, the more tempo or the slower you go, the more challenging it is. You can use your hands also just to support your legs so that you try to isolate the movement more to your lower leg and ankle versus having to hold the area up with your hips or use your hip and knee muscles as much. But again, this is just 8 pounds, so not too heavy, but a good way to try to build up that strength and that tibialis anterior muscle. So that's exercise 2, dynamic active ankle dorsiflexion. Exercise 3 is a calf raise with a tennis ball squeeze. So this is for your tibialis posterior muscle, which actually also plays a role in people who have medial tibial stress syndrome or shin splints. You're going to take the tennis ball, you're going to put it between your heels, as you can see here. Okay, we're going to turn around. You're going to squeeze the ball with your heels as you come up and as you come down, okay? So squeeze nice and strong, keep that tension as you're coming up, okay? Try to go up as high as you can and come back down, okay? So good for biasing your tibialis posterior muscle. Obviously you're working on your calf muscles as well, primarily your gastroc, but you're also getting that tibialis posterior muscle bias. Exercise 4 is we're just going to do a single leg calf raise, okay? So we'll just do it on the flat ground here. Of course, to make it more challenging, you can do it on an elevated surface to increase your range of motion. But for simplistic sake, we'll just stand on your left leg in this case. And again, just try to go up as high as you can and then slowly come back down, okay? High as you can, slowly come back down. To bias this for your calf muscle, you can also do it with your knees bent or your knee bent and go up. This biases your soleus muscle, which is one of the other calf muscles in your lower leg. Or you can hold on to a weight at your side as well as you're doing it to make it more challenging. So that's exercise 4, the single leg calf raise with either a gastrocnemius muscle bias or a soleus muscle bias if the knee is straight or bent. And exercise 5, we're going to do some heel walking. Okay, so keeping your toes off the ground and your ankle off the ground, you're just going to try to walk on your heels. And again, this is more challenging with weight at your side, but I'm just going over it for simplistic purposes without weight. We're going to be strengthening the tibialis anterior muscle with that exercise. So that's exercise 5, heel walking. So there you have it. We went over 5 exercises that can be used to try to improve the symptoms associated with medial tibial stress syndrome, or SHIN splints. These aren't evidence-based or research-backed. They're just various exercises that target different muscles in your lower leg region. So we went over the isometric ankle dorsiflexion. We went over the dynamic resisted ankle dorsiflexion with a kettlebell where you can hook your foot around. Went over the double leg heel raise with the ball squeeze around your heels to bias the tibialis posterior muscle. We went over the single leg calf raise with either a soleus or gastroc muscle bias with the knee bent or straight. But the last one we did was the heel walking. So those 5 exercises. Do you have shin splints, or have you been diagnosed with shin splints? What exercises have you found that has worked and hasn't worked? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember, this isn't medical advice. Please see a physiotherapist if you do have shin splints or other lower leg pain to rule out any form of fracture, particularly a stress fracture, especially if you're a high velocity or endurance runner, because this can be common. If you find value in this video and if you found value in my content, please consider subscribing. It really allows my channel to grow and allows me to reach a wider audience. Until then, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.